Alright, so in this video, I'm gonna discuss how to know if you're overtraining or if you're just being a wimp. Then I'm just gonna give you 3 solutions I learned about when playing football and things I'm learning right now while I'm doing Muay Thai. So I believe I have experienced some forms of overtraining in the past. Like when I was playing football near the end of the season, I noticed a lot of people would end up getting sick, and sometimes even myself included. And I think that's because from the long season, eventually your body just kind of breaks down and kind of sabotages itself, so it forces you to rest. And have heard Faraz Hobby talk about in his podcast that one time when he was training in college, he was working out a lot and he ended up getting sick for a month and was having migraines. And his doctors told him, yeah, it's because you've been burning the candle at both ends. So yeah, I would say overtraining is real. But that being said, being sore and tired and beat up is just part of the athlete lifestyle. But there's a difference between being a little bit sore and a little bit tired to being super sleepy all day and just being kind of out of it, and to the point where you're kind of slurring your words and you can't form sentences. That's when I'd be on the lookout. Okay, I might be overtraining right now, and do the 3 things I'm about to share with you in this video. And I'm honestly gonna make sure I do these things because I've been sick for the past 2 weeks, and now I've came back to Muay Thai training, and someone on the fight team has a title fight coming up, so we've been kind of going a little bit hard in training, and I'm starting to feel a little bit more than just, the average soreness or the average tiredness. I'm kind of feeling a little bit dead right now. So yeah, I'll make sure I do these things too. First thing you could do is just do a lighter workout. If you're an athlete of any kind, you still have to train. You can't just completely skip training. But I do a lighter version of what you're doing right now. So alternative is, if you have to go do a weight room lift, instead of going to the weight room, I'll do a pool workout where you'll still get your body stronger, but it's just more therapeutic for your body. I have my own pool workouts that you could do, but someone who has a really good one is Rutten. He's very well known in the martial arts community, and if you go to his YouTube channel, he has a pool workout that you could do that I used to do myself. I'll link it in the description, obviously. Another thing you could do is just lighten up the volume. So if you were gonna do 4 sets of exercises for each exercise, just bump it down to 3, and if you're super sore and tired, maybe bump it down to 2, but still get your workout in. And last thing I'm gonna suggest is, if you're doing martial arts, like let's say you're doing jiu-jitsu, still show up and do the drilling part of class, but maybe put off the live rolling for another day. Same thing if you're doing striking. Like one time I told my coach, hey coach, I have like a little bit of a headache right now. Is it cool if I just do drilling and leave sparring for another day? And honestly, when I told him that, I was a little bit scared. I thought he was gonna be like, oh, so you're a pussy. But instead he was like, yeah, just still make sure you watch the practice so you could learn things. And yeah, that's what I did. And if you're super sore and beat up, maybe not even do drilling and just show up and do some shadow boxing. But if you're a football player and you're playing college football, like I'm gonna just let you know right now, your coach isn't gonna be happy if you say, hey, could I just do the drills and not do the live period? Unless you're injured, he's gonna be pretty pissed off, at least from my experiences with football. So I just really focus on the other 2 things I'm gonna suggest. Now, someone I used to follow when I was in high school is John St. Brown. If you don't know him, all 3 of his sons ended up playing D1 college football, and 2 of his sons are in the NFL right now. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's actually like killing it in the NFL too. So I'd say he knows what he's talking about. But in the podcast he had with CT Fletcher, he was saying, there's no such thing as overtraining. There's only undereating and undersleeping. And yeah, I definitely agree with that to an extent. It's just, if you're doing martial arts and you have to cut weight, like you're not going to be able to eat enough. And some people are so busy they're not able to sleep enough. So, but yeah, I've done a lot of research on sleep from people like Andrew Huberman and Matt Walker, and yeah, I could tell you sleep is super important, especially for athletes. I actually have 2 videos on sleep that I'll link in the description, and I just share with you how to get good quality sleep in both of those videos. I don't have enough time right now to share with you all of those things, but one thing I will leave you with is, I just recommend doing an unwinding activity before bed. Like most people, they'll be playing video games and they'll be like killing a dragon, and they immediately try to go to sleep. It's not gonna work. Like, you're just killing a dragon in Skyrim. Like, you're not gonna be able to sleep right before that. So one thing I recommend doing is just doing something like reading or journaling, so it gets you into the right mindset to go to sleep. And that's something that's really helped me out a lot. And with eating, just make sure you're getting in enough calories to fuel your workout, and also getting enough protein in so your body has the building blocks to repair itself. And my last year of high school, I started tracking my calories with an app called Calorie, and I realized I wasn't eating enough, which was the reason I couldn't gain weight. So I recommend tracking your calories if you've never done it before, and you might be surprised of how little you're eating, and that might be the reason why you feel a little bit overtrained. And I have a really easy recipe you can make on my channel. I'll link it also. But that's good if you just want a quick and easy meal you can make. That's really good for you, and if you want to, you could make it high calorie depending on how you make it. But yeah, check that video out if you need a meal to cook. Now, last tip is just managing stress. When I mentioned Faraz Hobby at the start about how he overtrained himself and he was sick for a month and had migraines for a month, he also said it wasn't just from the fact that he was doing 2 hard workouts every day. It was also because he was working full time and he was taking classes at the college, and he wasn't giving himself enough time to rest. Also, when I talked about how football players usually get sick sick at the end of the season. It could also be because you're dealing with the season already. At the end of the season, it's also playoffs. And also around that time, you're also having finals. So just all that stuff combined can cause your body to kind of shut down. And it's just a fact that when you go through a lot of stress, your immune system gets weaker. And there's also just a bunch of other bad stuff that happens to your body when you're too stressed out, including worse performance if you're an athlete. So yeah, just make sure you're not just recovering from your sports, but if you have a lot of schoolwork or work, just make sure you're managing that too. Or if you're in a toxic relationship, maybe, get out of it or learn some healthy communication methods. Or if you're going through stuff like family issues, make sure you're managing your stress with that. But now I'm just going to share with you some ways that I personally manage my stress. For me, I think the best thing you could do is pray. So if you're religious, I'll definitely do that. Anyone who's prayed before knows what I'm talking about. Like, you feel like just a massive weight gets lifted off your shoulders when you do. But some other great things you could do is journaling. I actually have a video on that if you want to know how to start and why to start. That helps me a lot too. Another thing is reading. Again, I have a video that I'll link that talks about my favorite books to read. But yeah, praying, journaling, and reading are the main things for me to handle stress. So yeah, just make sure if you're an athlete or a martial artist, you gotta manage your stress if you want to keep training. So as much as it does suck ass being an athlete, the fact that you're sore all the time, you're in pain, and you're injured a lot, it is actually something a lot of people enjoy. Like, I was talking with one of my coaches about how doing Muay Thai makes you sore all the time, but he's like, yeah, I actually love it. It makes me feel alive. Personally, I wouldn't say that, but it does actually make me feel really productive. And when I'm sore, it's actually something I try to be grateful for. I haven't done any research on it or anything. I don't have any experience with it myself, but I have heard people talk about what it feels like to be depressed. Usually people who are depressed don't talk about it, but I have heard from psychologists or other mental health professionals talk about what it feels like to be depressed. And the common misconception people have, including myself at one point, is that when you think of a depressed person, you think of someone who's like super sad and crying all the time and just super down in the dumps all the time. But in reality, they say that people who are depressed, they don't actually feel like that. They actually feel kind of numb and, kind of blank. I think that's why self-harm might be a thing, because people who don't feel anything kind of just want to feel something. That's so, as much as it does suck to be sore and be in pain, I think it is something to be grateful for. Like, when you're in pain, it's literally a sign that you're like King Arthur on his mission to find the Holy Grail. And the reason why I put Crusaders in all the previous slides is when you're sore, it's kind of a sign that, you're on your mission to be a better athlete or be a better martial artist or be a better person. Like, personally for me, after a sparring session when I'm super, super sore and I barely could even move, in a weird way, it feels kind of good because it's just kind of a sign that, I'm growing as a person. And something that happened recently, which I thought was super powerful, was if you watch UFC, Israel Adesanya, and say what you want about him. I know he could be a little bit cringe sometimes, or say some stuff or do some stuff that you might not agree with. But recently he was in a fight and he was doing super good in the first round, but then he got knocked out by Nazardine Mimneov. I hope I said his name right. He's French, so I can't pronounce it properly. But after the fight, he was talking about how he actually feels super grateful to be that low and to feel that sad. But before, I wouldn't really know what he meant by that. But I think he's just glad that, he gets to feel something and not feel numb like how a lot of people do. But anyways, if you are feeling overtrained, I hope you do some of the things I mentioned and I hope they help. Let me know in the comment section if you have any questions. And if you like the kind of stuff I talk about, make sure to subscribe. Also, if you like the video, make sure to leave a like. That actually helps out a lot. Just improve the algorithm for this channel so more people could watch it. But like I said before, sleep is probably one of the most important things you could do for your recovery. So yeah, just make sure you check out either one of my sleep videos. But thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.